Hey guys, Mark Williams here with Trigger Time Training up in Longmont, Colorado. It's a beautiful evening here up in the Front Range, and today we're going to be discussing some of our favorite optics for your rifle, carbine, or long gun system. Sit back, enjoy, grab a beer, and let's talk about some cool optics. Belgians are the way to go. Alright, so what I have in front of us here are arguably two of the best carbine, long gun, or really any type of rifle system optic on the market today. We have the tried and true EoTech 512. A lot of people consider that the Glock or the Band-Aid of the optics world. And something relatively new within the last several years, the Spectar DR Elcan 1:4 dual purpose optic. We'll get into the nitty-gritty in just a few minutes here, but I do want to identify one's relatively well priced and one is generally going to be out of a lot of folks' price range. But what I'm looking to do here is show you what I consider and what our team considers going to be adequate, average, and going to get you through most of your situations, and one that if you do have the dough is going to be the top of the line best to go with. Now I do get there's some on the left, middle, and right of all of the ones I have in front of you. Alright, we're not dogmatic. I hope that down below in the comments it doesn't become a pissing match, but hey, let's talk about what we like, and if you have some different ideas, put them down there and we'll discuss them all. I try to get back to every comment you write, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so the first optic right here is the L3 EoTech 512. This is actually one of their more original designs. It's been around for a really long time. I used it myself in the Marine Corps. It's used now in law enforcement, still in the military, used by a lot of commercial and residential folks, and even three-gunners and competition shooters. Just some specifics about this guy. One power optic, other people call it zero power optic depending on how you look at it, but it does not magnify the image in front of you. The eye relief is unlimited. Because it's a zero parallax or parallax free scope, it doesn't matter where your eyeball or your eye relief is, because no matter where you paint the dot inside this optic, it's going to hit that target every single time. We'll talk about the pros to that down the road, because fortunately there's not a whole lot of cons to that idea. It takes two AA batteries. The life of this can be different. I'm not even seeing here where it says the life, but I'm here to tell you, as long as you change the batteries out every 3-4 months, if you use this a lot, and once on your birthday, if you don't use it very often, you shouldn't have an issue with batteries going down. Remember the old Amish, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Always keep a spare set in your kit or in your range bag, and you should be fine. Some other things you can do with this guy: you can add a 3-power magnifier to the rear of it to enhance its capabilities. That is oftentimes a necessity for some folks out there who require a little bit more magnification, and we'll talk about those ideas down the road too. My experience with this has been pretty through and through. Like I said, I used it overseas. I used it in Africa. I've used it in different places in the Mediterranean, especially doing a lot of maritime, so I was exposed to a lot of salt and corrosion in water. During those times, it never seemed to lose its zero. It never seemed to do any type of rusting. It's just been a fabulous scope. This was considered a TO weapon system optic for our rifles, which in layman's terms means we had to qualify with this as well. So there's a lot of argument that this one power optic is not very accurate. I'm here to tell you that these will qualify up to 500 yards and do every bit as good as the RCO or ACOG, whatever you prefer. As long as you know how to use it and you're skilled behind the trigger, it's a great optic. The second guy we have here is the Spectar DR. It's an Elcan 1:4 is what it's commonly known. This is what's known as a dual purpose optic. So this is a 1 power, 0 parallax optic. This is a dual purpose heads up display scoped. This guy is really cool. It's a very unique and progressive idea into how to actually design scopes. Basically, let's get some specs on this guy. So it's basically switchable between 1 power and 4 power. It's got a really good glass system inside. There are multi-glass pieces inside, which means it will have parallax, so you do have to maintain proper eye relief and proper eye position inside the scope, or else you will get scope shadow, and I'll give you an example of that in a few minutes here. Aside from that, it is an illuminated reticle, just like the Elcan or the EoTech is here. However, this one has a lot more things going on inside. in the EoTech. I'm going to show you a picture just about now.
Alright guys, so here's the EoTech 512. And you can see the 65 MOA with the center dot in there, as well as the crosshairs. What I was referring to earlier is this is a zero parallax scope. So you're noticing as I move the camera all over the place, front and back, up, down, circular, whatever you want to talk about, you're seeing that red dot stay focused on the center of that bar between the windows. And that's the beauty of this scope. You never know what position or angle you might find your head or your eye looking through a scope, especially in a combat, stressful, or competition situation.
You're going to see that it's going to have a single dot with a 65 MOA circle with a crosshair on the outside of it. This one, I'm going to show you the picture right now. Actually has a lot of different things going on. It's got a bullet drop compensator, it's got MOA and mil wind correction, it's got a hasty rangefinder, and it also can change between a reticle lighted display or a red dot display for CQB situations. The other thing it has on top of it is an emergency or backup light, and I generally suggest these when the optic goes down or in extremely wet conditions like a downpour where the light is going to be unattainable or the optic is unattainable. It's a fabulous scope. When I get into this one more in just a few minutes here, you'll see why, but it's considered probably the most robust scope on the market today. So now that you've heard a quick synopsis about what the two optics are I have in front of you and what I think and our team thinks are some of the best systems to choose from, what's the applicable reason and capabilities these scopes or optics have, one versus the other, so on and so forth. The EoTech is really a all-around machine. I like to refer to it as the Glock of optics because it's just that. You can throw it on a shotgun, you can throw it on a carbine, you can throw it on a SCAR or any other type of weapon system that's going to work well. The Spanish Navy uses the EoTech on their G36s. I've seen it on 91s, I've seen it on 3s, all the different weapon systems throughout the world. The EoTech always seems to find its home at. That pays homage to how well it actually works. The cool thing about these are they're very reliable. You can use it on a 22 all the way up to a 308 or probably something bigger, and it's not going to lose its repeatability or reliability. On top of that, it's so simple to use. If you're a new shooter or trying to introduce a new shooter to the world, all you got to do is just pick up the rifle, paint the target you're looking to shoot at, and pull the trigger. As long as you execute good shot picture sight alignment, ABCs of marksmanship, and you have a good stance, position, and grip, there's no issue you're not going to hit your target all the way up to 300 or 400 yards. We prove that time and time again in all the classes we teach. I like this optic because it's always been there for me when I needed it. Whether it's in a combat zone or it's on the training field, it's always worked for me. However, one time I will say, the batteries did go dead on the first day of training for one of the courses I was teaching. Just to prove a point, I actually ran the scope on the rifle using iron backup sights the entire remainder of the course, just to show that when these do go down, you have that second capability to look through. That's another really cool thing about this optic. In case you do run out of batteries and you're in the field, or the optic has some type of deficiency, I can throw my front and rear sight up and actually look through this scope, which I unfortunately cannot do with a scoped rifle. And I have a secondary sighting system that I do not have to change anything on the gun in real time. So if you're in law enforcement or military, that's a huge, important step to the whole process of defeating your enemy or defeating your suspect. If I'm going to make entry into a room and all of a sudden my EoTech goes down, I don't have to worry about using QD or quick detachable optics and throw it off and put it in my cargo pan or a partner's pouch. All I got to do is just flip those iron sights up and I can get back into the game. The Spectar DR is going to do what I just said and more. There are a few drawbacks to this guy, but we'll talk about those. So what's the 1-4 or the Spectar DR Elcan give you that the EoTech doesn't? And that's power. Having the ability to identify targets out to 500, 600, 700 yards is a huge thing for military, law enforcement, or if you're a precision shooter, being able to identify go or no-go targets downrange is going to be important. The ability to add a 4-power throw to this also, without firearms even included into the idea, but just positively IDing a threat or target is huge. If you're overseas and you're looking to add this to your suite for your weapon system, if you're trying to find IEDs, you're trying to find any type of threat in your route planning or just your assessment of the area in front of you, having that 4-power capability against that 1 power is really nice. I don't have to carry a 5-power bino with me or a spotting scope. This is everything I need. On top of that, the light transmission in this compared to most other scoped optics is incredible. I don't know what the actual light transmission is per specification from the manufacturer, but I'm here to tell you in low light situations, you're almost looking through just your eyeball when you look through this guy. There's very little white light that's dissipated, and it's very bright for those low light situations. It's robust and it's intrinsic, so if you haven't heard the term intrinsic before, I want you to imagine this being placed on top of an artillery piece cannon. These work the same way that those optics do. Because of the high reverberation and recoil that's going through those weapon systems, you can't just have a rifle scope, so to speak, attached to that thing in the conventional way. So what the Elcan actually does is, if you can see the base here, the base gets planted onto your rail system, and then how we adjust the scope is by moving the entire tube, not the glass. So instead of cranking down on a turret left and right, or up and down, we're actually cranking up and down, left and right on the entire tube. That makes it intrinsic. So you're moving the entire optic instead of just that glass. That's very progressive, and it's a new idea in the optics world. And what that means to you and I as shooters is really robust reliability. On top of that, the lighting features inside this guy is really cool. If I need to take a long shot 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, I can actually use the illuminated reticle feature on this guy to get that well-aimed shot with holdover for wind, as well as elevation for BDC, bullet drop compensation. And just as quickly, if I need to make an entry into a CQB or inside of a critical structure, I can throw it to the 1 power, turn the optic light forward, and then it's going to be a nice bright red dot like you'd see from a traditional EoTech. Here's the downside to this guy. If your optic goes to go down for any reason, and I've yet to find one that it will, if you try to throw your iron sights up, it will not properly witness with those iron sights. That means your only other option is to actually take this optic, throw the QDs off, and take it off of your rifle or weapons system. That can be very slow, and if you need to maintain accountability for these guys, which I guarantee you're going to have to if you're any type of official unit, that's going to be an issue for you. So those are some of the pros and cons to these guys. Now finally, let's talk about price. This guy retails for anywhere from $450 to about $550. We're right in the middle at $475 out the door. So if you get this guy, you can take one. You could actually purchase 3 or 4 of these before you even at the same price as this. If you don't have the dough to spend $2,000 or $2,100 on an Elcan, definitely go with an EoTech. You can get a 3-power magnifier. You're really in the same level game as what this guy's going to provide. That being said, if you do have the coin, or you are looking for the utmost in reliability, quality, and really the name, you're going to want to go with this guy, the Elcan, 1 to 4 power, and it's rated for 5.56 or for 7.62. This guy's going to be rated for any caliber. It's non-specific, so as soon as it's actually zeroed at your intended target and intended range, you're going to have to find your holdouts for it at that point, where this guy's going to tell you those holdouts for those 2 specific calibers. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching us here at Trigger Time Training in Longmont, Colorado. You can visit our website at t3main.com for all the information you've seen here. It'll be on our blog. And you can also call us at 303-651-0816. Get in touch with one of our staff members or a T3 instructor. We'll get you going down the right road. Thank you. Have a great day.